Yo, 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 what's going on? This is the NRW Nerds. Rule the world. It's your boy, Kuyapi, and I'm here with the one, the only, the cat that, does, something cool, He's the cool guy. My man, Rob Medina, what's going on?
It's all good, man. It's a very subtle intro. I like that.
It's been a minute,
very
dude.
suave.
So we haven't done the review together in a while, so I was like, dude,
yeah.
I was trying to
right.
think of your nicknames that we gave you, and I couldn't think of them offhand. So,
Bobby Big Balls.
Bobby Big Balls.
That was one of the ones, and some other ones as well too that went over my head because there's so many of them.
So it's been a minute, brother. It's been a while. It's good to see you. But we have a new film that we want to talk all about today, man. It's called The Inhabitant. We had the pleasure of checking it out before it drops on October 7th, y'all. So check it out. It will be in theaters as well as on demand. Shout out to the team over there that hooked us up. Full Bloom Marketing. I definitely want to give them love. And of course, Lionsgate. They're the people behind this, The Inhabitant. I'm going to toss it over to Rob. He's going to kind of break down the story, the synopsis on the film. I'll break down the cast that we receive in this, as well as some of the crew behind it. And then Rob and I will give you our thoughts on this, whether you should check it out or whatevs. All right. So let me toss it over to Rob, who will break down the synopsis. Let's go, Rob.
All right. So basically, because I have to read the notes here too. So there's a family curse of these ancestors that are from Lizzie Borden, which I'm familiar, but I don't know entirely the history behind it, because I know there's a whole thing about this whole character here. So there's a curse that goes around where apparently these women that are ancestors of Lizzie Borden that get more or less possessed by her spirit, if I recall correctly. And then there's a set of murders that occur every October. And in this particular case here, there are a string of murders that have occurred, and all of it ties down to this one character by the name of Tara, who's the lead in this movie, played by the actress whose name escapes me right now, Mrs. Azion. I can't remember her first name.
Odessa Azion.
Odessa
I'll
Azion,
break it down with the cast.
Okay. So, we have her as being the more or less the prime suspect, because the people that are killed are all directly connected to her. And when the police department investigating the matter, they come to find out that all these people that are killed, she had some sort of rift with them in some way or shape or form. And then as a result of that, there are other people that are also being more or less thrown into the mix for these killings as well, too. In particular, this one Russian guy played by an actor that I'm very, very familiar with, in Todd Jenkins, which, so to make a long story short, we come to find out what the real story is and who is behind the killings. And it becomes more or less like a whodunit type of scenario here. And there are some spiritual elements that are infused into the story as well, too, which I actually kind of did appreciate. But overall, that's pretty much right there, the story in the nutshell. So I don't want to reveal too much, because there is a lot of stuff in there in the film that you have to watch to see the end of it, and hopefully you guys will enjoy, because I'll give my thoughts on that when I review here. But again, that's the film in a nutshell. So I'm going to leave it up to you to introduce the cast of the film here as well.
All right, Rob, it's been a minute, man. So we'll get you tuned up again. We'll get it rolling like a good engine. But we'll give you our thoughts and, also kind of break it down in the review a little bit more, some more of those details within the story. So for the crew on this, writer is Kevin Bachar. The director is Jaron Lauder. And I will let you know that I had an interview with Jaron Lauder this past week. So look for my interview with the director of The Inhabitant, Jaron Lauder. Great conversation with him. His inspiration for this I will say, to just kind of give you a snapshot of him diving into this film, was giving it personality. There's been a lot of Lizzie Borden films throughout history, and I've caught a few of them. And so I was curious, what he was going to do differently with this version of a Lizzie Borden story. And it was all about giving it personality. I love that. That was a great answer, because you want to separate yourself from all of these other films. So he definitely wanted to infuse personality with his cast and with the character of Lizzie Borden in this film that's based on the real life murder mystery that encapsulate Lizzie Borden. So with that being said, some of the other actors in this, I'm gonna pull up my IMDb database. I love it. Leslie Bibb plays Emily. Leslie Bibb from Iron Man. I know that offhand. Yeah, she was in Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Law Abiding Citizen, as well as Talladega Nights. That's hilarious. Did a lot of comedy, but is also diving into horror. And I think she did a great job in this.
She did Trick or Treat as well, too.
You'll also know Dermot Mulroney, who plays Ben in this. You've seen Dermot in My Best Friend's Wedding. August, Osage County. Young Guns, the family sound. And man, I totally forgot he was in Young Guns. But another great character actor we've seen, done a lot of TV work as well. And we'll also head up with our lead in this, the lead actress, Odessa Azion. She plays Tara in this project. And you may also know her from Hellraiser, which is also debuting this weekend, that I had the pleasure of seeing in advance as well. And I'll have and the review actually is already up on the channel with my pal Heather. We got a chance to check it out. She plays Riley. So Odessa is blowing up. She has 2 films this weekend. Shout out to her with The Inhabitant and Hellraiser. So check her out in Hellraiser. And she's also can be seen in Conception and For the Night and Let's Scare Julie. She's a young actress. She's really starting to get her foot rolling and getting quite a bit of lead work. So shout out to Odessa. It's her time right now. So much love to her on that. And also I will give a shout out to Lizzie Broadway because she did some great work in this. She plays Susie. She's another up and coming actress and was also highlighted when I had that conversation with Jaren. You've seen her in Bones on TV as Kat Martin, Here and Now on HBO Max, Slay as Ashley, and Splitting Up Together as Zoe. Again, another up and coming actress that want to highlight. Those are your main cast. There's a bunch of other actors in this as Rob mentioned, his good friend Todd Jenkins. We have Ryan Francis, Michael Cooper Jr., Jennifer Rader, Kanisha Thompson, Hartley Buick, and a cast of others. But that's for the main part, your main actors that we see in The Inhabitant. So that is your main cast. Rob broke down the story. Let me head back over to you, Rob. Let's give a little bit of a review on this. I think you said earlier you weren't very familiar with the Boston murder mystery that is Lizzie Borden, the real life mystery behind that.
I just heard about it, but I don't know really anything about it at all. I know there've been tons of films being made. I think there's one with Christina Ricci that was made not too long ago too, which I've never seen. Christina Ricci? I thought she played her in the movie. It was a Lifetime film. Who's
Christina Ricci? Christina Ricci. I'm confused. There was a Kristen Stewart one. Yeah, there's been several. Yeah, okay. I forgot. I thought you were mistaking Christina Ricci. Anyway, yeah. From the Addams Family, Christina Ricci, and then we've also had Kristen Stewart from the Twilight films.
Right.
I don't even I remember that, but now I kind of like want to go see that one.
So that's where I was more aware of the story because of her playing the part in the movie. So that's where I became more aware. But I've heard about it rumblings, but never really delved into it here. But so this is actually the very first film that I can recall that actually dealt with that background with Lizzie Borden's murder and whatnot. It's the first time I've ever seen a movie of that sort where that story is involved into a film. So I learned more about
Christina Ricci one for you.
No. I've never seen that movie. I'm just saying this is the first one, The Inhabitant.
That you actually finally watched.
That I watched a movie that dealt with that history.
Yeah, there's been several.
Yeah.
Okay.
So having seen this, learning what we saw in the film, that was the first time I became aware of the full story. And I was like, oh, okay, now I get the appeal to that story and why they made it into so many movies. As far as my overall thoughts are concerned, I was okay with the movie. There were some great qualities that I did like about the film. I thought that the set design for the movie worked well. I think the performances really was what stuck out for me the most. I thought the actors were really the best things about the movie. The main lead, Odessa, who plays Tara in the movie, I thought she was great in the film as well. You mentioned my boy Todd Jenkins. He was someone that I've been acquainted with for quite some time now. And when I learned he was in the movie, I was definitely in to check out the film, really because of him, to be honest with you. But then when I saw the film, saw his part, I thought he was good. The accent I didn't really buy so much because he plays a Russian character there. But otherwise, as far as the overall story in itself, I kind of predicted the ending like halfway through the film. Once you start seeing the murders kind of play itself out, I was a little aware of who we could be suspecting could be the one behind the axe, if you will. But otherwise, overall, I enjoyed my experience with the film. It was just okay for me, but this isn't a film that I didn't hate. I would actually go back and watch it because there were a lot of fun to have more with the film than I did. So I had more positives than I did negatives, but the positives I weighted by this much more than I anticipated here. So overall, good experience here in my end.
Okay, and again, you can spoil the spoilers.
Spoil it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can spoil. So
you're gonna say something here about the spoilers?
Well, no. Well, in a roundabout, I'm gonna get to in just conversation.
Okay.
So
okay.
But you mentioned the Christina Ricci film, so this is your first time actually getting to know the Lizzie Borden story. So has this pushed you to research it more, learn about the actual murder mystery. Maybe now go back, see that Christina Ricci film, go see the Kristen Stewart film. There's a ton of other. Did this intrigue you about that, of the whole concept in that murder mystery, to maybe
a little bit
pick out some of that content?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't actually look into it after I saw the film, but it piqued my interest a little bit more because having learned what I saw in the film, and knowing hearing the true story, which I think is like what they revealed in the movie was like a condensed version. There's a lot more that happens, which actually made me want to look into it here, but I have yet to do it as of right now. But otherwise, yeah, it did pique my interest to want to check out the real story, and then maybe one day I'll check out the films here because if there's a ton of films being made of the same story, it could only be done so well so many times. So I'm going to be a little hesitant about checking out some of the films, but more interested in checking out the real story than the films itself. That's just my stance.
Because this is it's taking that concept and making it fresh, and which is what I think is so. What makes this one stand out? They've turned it into like the bloodline, the ancestry of the murder mystery that occurred way back when, opening with actual images from the murders that happened. We see those images splashed at the front, and they kind of give that breakdown because they kind of do it they foretell what the film is going to be about at that very beginning, showing the pictures and then saying that there's this bloodline ancestry that kind of had happened throughout the years, and now there's these murders that are encountering that are happening as you stated in your breakdown, that lead into what we're going to see in this film, which I thought it was good. That to me, that gave it the personality that Jaron Lauder described. And then with the different characters, he described it as to me when in our conversation like an emo horror, which I could totally see.
I could see that.
Yeah, different generation now. Of kids that are getting into these horror films and who are probably completely unaware of the Lizzie Borden murders that occurred, that she did, killing her mom, killing her father. And that this is in the bloodline. So I thought it was kind of fresh, and it actually made me to just kind of throw it to the interview that we'll also have on the channel. To me, this sets up a franchise. You're infusing this as a bloodline throughout that, this murderous kind of thing is happening. And now you can kind of go you can do a lot with that kind of a content. What it actually made Lizzie Borden, is still a mystery, that maybe there's something spiritual or anything that is this evil that exists in this town and is creating these murders. And so that's kind of like, spoilers, what we see with Tara, Odessa Azion's character, being part of this family bloodline. And to go to the end, her mother, played by Leslie Bibb, is kind of part of this whole murder mystery that's happening. And her husband Dermot has to rush home and all of that. But what did you think of that? What did you think of Leslie Bibb's turn? Because we don't really see her in horror roles like this. I think that's really I wanted to get your opinion on that, because it's something we don't know. Are you a fan of Leslie Bibb? Are you familiar with her work?
Yeah, so she was in a horror film that I enjoyed. We actually got you to watch the film a while back for Trick or Treat, and you did a review with us on that not too long ago. But
I don't remember.
Yeah, she was in the beginning of the movie, and then she shows up at the end. She gets killed by Sam, the little dude with the sack on the head. So she was in that movie. So
wow. Okay.
So she was in a horror film before, but so I was familiar with her work, obviously from Iron Man and a few other films that she's done as well too, mainly from the comedy movies too. But I remember specifically from Trick or Treat. So it was nice to see her in the horror genre again. Okay. But yeah, so we're getting into we can get spoilers right now, can we?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So halfway through the movie, considering how it was set up that the mother was very concerned and that she has a sister who was accused of murdering her own children. And then we come to find out that never really happened. It was the mother. It was actually Tara's mother that was the one that killed her nieces and then ended up killing her friends. And there's a whole thing about how she was she felt like that her daughter was having some sort of thing with her father, which they kind of insinuated, but they didn't really actually push it on the nose, but it seemed that way, which gave the mother that impression. So I think when I saw those little turns here and there about what the story was, what the kind of the misdirect, if you will, I kind of picked up halfway the film. Oh, she's the killer, because you see a blonde woman killing all the victims here, and then later on when it's revealed it was the mother the entire time, I was like, yeah, I knew it right away. But I was just more curious about why she was doing it in the first place, and her reasons are basically more psychological than they were, at least in my opinion, like spiritual or possession, you know, because we have hints, we get see a lot of that in the movie, but when you come to find out she's just psycho and she's just killing people because she has these perceptions. But you wonder, is it, you know, was this perception coming from, you know, that bloodline of like that curse, if you will, or is it legitimate, like a mental issue that she was actually going through here? So there's a little bit of that fine line that they kind of question there.
Yeah, and I don't think they gave us clear answers though.
Right, like, and that part I appreciate,
and that's why I think, and why I brought it to the table when in my conversation with Jaron is, you can, if they keep it in that spiritual sense, which I believe they are, because I did get word as my last question, can this be a franchise? Can we see a Inhabitant Part 2? And he was like, that's what he would like to do, but it also depends on the returns of how well it does this weekend.
Yeah,
because this could be just standalone and you leave it how it is and leave that lingering thought in the audience's mind. But personally, from the director's perspective, he likes, and I like it as well as from a creative standpoint, to make this be a spiritual thing that this can continue on. And there's something bigger than beyond just the bloodline that, you know, it maybe just wasn't, you know, Lizzie Borden purposefully, and it continued this dark tradition and when the family, that maybe there's something larger within it, you know, to just give it something a little bit more flair and creative, which I think would be kind of cool. What are your thoughts on that? So if that is, you know, something that it could be, but it's currently what it is, you know, any interpretation right now. But if they were to do a part 2 and that is what is going to happen, what are your thoughts on that?
I'd be curious to see what they do, because I'm open to the idea that there's a lot of things that they can expand onto that and make something great out of it. But, you know, I actually like the way the film ended, where it leads to that question, you know, was she legitimately possessed, or was she, you know, just having some severe mental issues there? Because you definitely get a lot of that presented in the movie as well too. But I'd be open to it. I just want to see something. I want to see a fun movie, creative, and do something that either we have seen before, but just take it up a notch or two, or take a left turn and just do something completely different to, you know, exceed our expectations here. Because I think this movie does present that, but, you know, only time will tell. Hopefully the film does well enough to present that.
I'll also toss it to you like this, because I think the answer is in the title itself. The Inhabitant.
Yeah, you're right about that. So, but again, I'm curious.
Whoever is present day is the inhabitant of the spirit that continues on from that began with Lizzie Borden to now. Or did it? Or is that the only first time in recorded history? Just kind of taking, you know, from a creative standpoint, you know, which I love. I love stuff like that, because we need fresh new horror. We need fresh new concepts, and playing around with like the spirit realm and things like that, of how that could be the reason why people do things. So overall, you had a good time with it, and in different ways.
I was okay with the film. You know, I actually liked the way the film ended, with, like I mentioned before. But, you know, really the best thing for me about the movie was the performances. I thought everyone did a good job with the performance. Odessa was fantastic in the film. Leslie, I meant to say, was fantastic. Todd, who's, you know, my boy, he did a great job with his role in as well too. Dermot was fantastic. Everyone, I mean, literally everyone did a good job. And I think this movie does a really good job too, and just kind of showcasing the fine line of like what's real and what isn't real. And I think there were some parts where I was wondering what is legitimately happening, and then you don't really know until you get that reveal towards the end. So I think they did a pretty good job in that. But my overall experience, I enjoyed it. I wasn't blown away with it, but I did enjoy the film for what it was, and I would be happy to go back and rewatch it again, because there were some things that I felt like I missed on that I didn't catch the first time around, that I need to go back and rewatch again to get myself reacquainted with certain things here and there. But otherwise, yeah, I give it a thumbs up in my end, because I did enjoy the film.
Okay, gotcha. I definitely need to check it out again. To me, it was all right. It wasn't terrible in any sense, and I've seen a lot of terrible films with what we do. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
I will say though that the only thing, the real negative that I had with the movie though was the killings, because
the murders,
because the way that the killings were done in the film, all the murder scenes, they were cut up so bad that I just did not enjoy that aspect of the film, because there were some pretty gory parts that you get to see that at least you anticipate, and then they cut it off too soon, and then when you see the aftermath, you wonder how do they actually pull that off, because I thought they had a great opportunity to showcase that, but they didn't. So that was a real misfire on my end. That's the real sticking point for me personally when it came to the violence. So otherwise, it was a fun movie.
I agree. Yeah, as a fan of horror films, you kind of
Yeah.
and gore, you kind of want a little bit more. I think the reason for that, from a filming, from being a filmmaker and a filmmaking standpoint, is probably budget. You know,
Probably.
time constraint
Yep.
to do the effects, all of that. You know, you kind of do it. It's a filmmaking method just to save costs in a
Of
way.
course.
So
I
I'm
understand.
sure that it explains it. But you know, yeah. But as critics and as fans, you know that we want more. That's why we tune in for horror films. We want to see more of that blood, guts, gore to just go with it. So when you do a quick shot like that, I completely agree with you. That takes away from us as the fan of this kind of genre. And but I understand from the filmmaking side. But yeah, fan first, entertainment. We want that gore, so give it to us. So yeah, I'm with you on that. So yeah, for me, it was good, not great. I think Dermot Mulroney was underused.
Yes,
if you're
Agree.
establishing that connection and that twist, as you said, of why Leslie did what she did, to me, there wasn't enough father-daughter interaction to establish it, to make it be her motivation. I think Leslie did, again, a phenomenal job. It was good to see her in horror, being so familiar with her comedic work, her dramatic work. So that was a cool turn on her, although would have liked a little bit more. Again, Odessa, you know, did just what she had to do personally as our lead actress. Again, this is like her second, this weekend, which is crazy. She's in Hellraiser as the main lead there, and as well as in this film. So shout out to her.
Yeah,
so she's a good star on the rise. Did exactly what she had to do with what she was given. But I think I don't know if I fully connected with her, but she did enough, but with what she was given. So props to her. And again, Lizzie Broadway, who is the friend Susie, worked with what was given. Again, I think a lot. To me, I guess there was a lot of underutilization, which goes to the script. So I think the story needed to be solidified more for us.
I think it needed to be fleshed out a little bit more
with the characters. Yeah. But overall, with the material that they had, I think it did an adequate enough job that it carried me all the way through and was entertained all the way through. But again, but with that being said, only made it just a good film when it could have been a great film. So entertaining enough. And it's the Halloween season. This is the material I want. I want good films that'll carry me through. I just wanted it to be better, but I did have a fun ride. So there you go, y'all. Those are my thoughts. Those are Rob's thoughts. I think we're both on an up, but I'm a little sliding.
The up is working his way up to a full up, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was, but you know, it's a generic film, but I still enjoyed those aspects that I pointed out here. So yeah, positive. There you go. Slightly more outweigh the negative.
So if we get a part 2 with like what I said, with the hints I got from the director Jaron Lauder, would you tune into a part 2?
I would. Yeah.
Same.
I definitely would.
All right. There we go, y'all. Those are our thoughts on The Inhabitant. Check it out. Available right now in theaters as well as on demand. Go check it out, The Inhabitant from Lionsgate. But if you want to holler at us, if you think we're wrong, let us know. First, I will let Rob be the victim of your murders. You from our audience. Hit us up.
You can tell me I'm right on my social medias, on my Instagram and Twitter at Mr. Rob Medina, and on Facebook, simply just Rob Medina. And I also host a show on the channel called You're So Cool with Rob Medina. You can follow me on the social media for the show as well. On Instagram, You're So Cool with Rob Medina, and on Twitter, You're So Cool WRM.
There you go. And if you want to stab me in the back via the comments, it's all good. I'm ready for it. I am the Legend Cooley P on Twitter, TikTok, and IG, and of course here with Rob and the whole squad at the NRW and at Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. Let us know in the comments how you feel. I want to know. I like having these conversations. And again, because we create this content all the time, it helps us know what you're looking for. And also check out my interview with the director Jaron Lauder on the channel as well. Rob, I appreciate you. Audience, we appreciate you all. Thank you. NRW, nerds rule the world.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.